Alright guys, thank you again for joining me. This is Cat's Pajamas here with more bonus coverage out of the IPL Season 2 qualifiers. For round of 128, this is a matchup between sixjaxMajOr, spawning as our pink Terran player here in the top left-hand corner of Shakuras Plateau. His opponent here in the top right-hand corner is EmpireNerchio, spawning as our blue Zerg player. So Nerchio versus Major. We'll see what these players have in store for us. Major, at one point in the last game, was several points in the last game, was pretty significantly ahead, but Nerchio just was always able to hold with the skin of his teeth. Major was never really able to make that big offensive that did huge amounts of damage to him. So we'll see if Nerchio can continue to hold in a glorious style, or what the case will be. Major going to make his way across with an early SCV, actually sent out 2 SCVs at the same time, one to build a supply depot, one for a very early 10 scout. So we'll see if he's going to go after the exact same, yeah, it looks like he's going to go after the same 11 food double barracks builds. Yep, there's barracks. Oh, you tricky feller. Yes, you did send out the early scouts. Why? Because you want to rock your opponent with a proxy barracks. There's a barracks. They'll build it on the low ground to be able to float it up onto the high ground. Really close that walk distance down. However, this Overlord may be aware of this in a second. Oh, that Overlord's going to go right by. We'll find that here in just a minute. Nerchio, on the other hand, did fast expand, drop down a 15 hatch. And there's the sup, dude. Let's see here. Whoop, I was looking at Nerchio's vision there. Oh, Nerchio. Yeah, so he knows exactly what's coming. There's Proxy Barracks, number 1. Proxy Racks, sad face, coming out for Nerchio. Nerchio looks like he's going to be able to defend. Has a few drones here to guard against that SCV. SCV not really going to be able to construct everything here for a while. Ooh, building it on the low ground, though. And he's going to come back. Oh, shoot. Is he going to take out that SCV first? Looks like he may send a couple after various different units. Wow, Nerchio showing ridiculously good control at the moment. Both players playing with very high APM. 300 for sixjaxMajOr, 224 Nerchio. And it looks like one Marine does go down. An SCV went down as well, but this was a lot of lost mining time. And unfortunately, these drones are absorbing quite a bit of damage. Wow, another drone goes down. And old Major does manage to secure himself a bunker with a Marine inside of it. So Nerchio has to come back now with 2 spine crawlers. So what started as very good control for Nerchio has actually descended very rapidly, and now he is losing quite a bit of economy, quite a bit of units. Looks like this Marine going to go right after this spine crawler. And a couple of Zerglings are out now. Zerglings are going to fall pretty quickly. Ooh, but now there's a bunch more that are reinforcing. And Nerchio with those 2 spine crawlers, is he going to be able to hold? Is the next bunker going to come up? No, it has stopped 1 second before it finishes. And that is going to force a cancel on that bunker. Nerchio as well. Going to finish that spine crawler, move it over, be able to take out this bunker. And looks like Major is just going to turn old barracks into a scouting barracks. Unless he sits it down right here, which would be cute and awesome. Let's take a look. Major is going to an expansion, but decides to put up his factory first. So wants to follow this up with some harassment. Nerchio is supply capped. Very bad. Has an Overlord coming up, but it'll be a little while. And Nerchio going to start mining gas. Once again, just 2 on gas. Was an intentional build out of him. Want to remind everyone, doesn't make as much of a difference in this matchup, but this is pre-patch, because this was from Qualifier week number 1 before the patch hit. In case a couple of things come up and you're like, that seems weird. Starport on the way now for Major. And this barracks is going to float itself back, but Major is actually floating quite a bit of resources at the moment, because he's not been producing Marines this entire time, obviously. There we go. Old factory making its way back and to drop down a reactor. This barracks will find its way home, ambling home eventually. And we're starting to have the creep connected between the 2 bases. Evolution chamber getting put down as well. So, all quiet on the western front for a minute. Very fast evolution chamber. I don't know if he's worried about a Banshee follow-up or if this is just going to be for explicit upgrades. And we'll see. There is, in fact, a Banshee on the way. And look at that. Spore Crawler coming down. Nerchio does know his opponent. He knows the follow-up of that attack. So, Major not going to be able to do as much damage with that as he would like to. But he is ahead in economy. Both players are basically tight on workers. Now, Nerchio pulls a small lead, but of course, with the mule down, the economic rate for Major is going to be better. Looks like after Banshee number 1 is produced, this will switch over to the reactor. That barracks finally made its way back, now producing a tech lab of its own. 2 more barracks being added to the mix, and Major is going to have double mules now. He's majoring over a few SCVs. And there we go. There's the tech switch one more time. Banshee number 1 coming out. The amount of damage it's going to do is going to be mitigated a little bit by the spore crawlers in both of the mineral lines. Let's take a look, though. Major sending his way back across. Oh, may have thought better of it. I'm not sure. He's just patrolling back and forth with his Hellion. So, both players in a little bit of a standoff. Major wants to be aggressive. He's going to find a hard time doing that. He should be able to find this perfect position where he can take out a couple of drones. But, very nice job. The Queen already comes back. Double Queens, as a matter of fact. That's going to force sixjaxMajOr away. And here comes a Zergling. Makes his way up. Sees the wall. Gets killed. Poor Zergling. Major sitting on the high ground with the tank as well. Soon as siege mode finishes, he should have a couple of early hits against any sort of Zergling or Baneling run-bys. Once again, we see Nerchio going, well, he manages to A-click his own lair there for a second. Banshee coming back. But, Nerchio, he is going to that very fast +1 melee attacks once again. No Baneling nest quite yet. He does have his 4th gas coming up. But once again, both players in a standoff. I think Nerchio wants to play that macro game. Probably will need to establish himself a 3rd base, though. He is up by 15 workers, and with the double mules that are down for Major, that's not going to quite make up the economic rate. As we can see, he is behind. And look at that. Already very, very quick to an infestation pit. So, is this going to be used for tech or just for infestors? I imagine that we'll see a little bit of both. Few infestors, of course, do a very nice job of countering the army composition that Major does favor, which is going to be that siege tank marine army. Major already putting himself up another command center, though. Uh-oh, Desinir trying to get down. Nerchio does manage to get down the hatchery just in time. The Hellion was coming back to do some damage. And, of course, this is now revealed, so Nerchio is going to have to bring back all of his Zerglings. Oh, nice positioning, though. Nice little trap. The Banshee's going to be able to come back, get himself a few kills. Or he'll be able to deny this hatchery completely. 1 Queen making its way over. This Banshee not healed up. 2 Zerglings did go down. And Nerchio manages to get the first few hits off on the Banshee. The Banshee trying to continue to do some damage to the hatchery because he is trying to draw the attention of Nerchio away. But Nerchio, he already has a lot of units coming back. Should be able to drive that drop off. Unfortunately, loses an Overlord in the process, but producing 4 more. Banshee pulls itself back, down to just 50 points of health. And looks like Major was thinking about running down to the bottom here and dropping just to be able to deny this base. He's able to pull that off. That's going to be quite good. Pathogen Glands and Nubatized Carapace coming up. Make those Overlords just a little bit speedier and also give those Infestors their extra energy to start the game. The Major still has his Medivacs. Could bring them in at any time, and he's going to his 3rd. And he's going to find quite a bit of success there. Creep Tumor going down. Smart decision to start that creep spread already, because this is probably where sixjaxMajOr is going to drop. Indeed he is right now. So he could stim himself in here in a second, but it looks like this Medivac will heal up his forces first. sixjaxMajOr making his way across with a good number of Marines. Nerchio transferred over a few units. Zerglings do see the Marines. And immediately a bunch of units being brought in for Nerchio, so he is going to be able to stop the amount of damage being done pretty quickly. And there is a fungal growth that only manages to catch 1 Marine, unfortunately. All these Marines pulling back for the time being, but both these drops are getting cleaned up at once. And it looks like the Banshee's going to go down as well. So the Banshee falls. Major loads up another drop. He has kept himself pretty even on supply. Ooh, Major, no! He misrallied all of his SEVs! Major, you can do it. You can do it, I have faith in you. So, Major finally gets his way back to mining. Same unit composition, though, coming out of Nerchio. He is going after a Spire. Again, he'll go to a Greater Spire with some Corruptors, go right into Broodlords. And is Major going to let him do it this time? He's dropping down all of his Marines. And it looks like, yep, he's going to have to pick right back up. Loses a Marine in the process, doesn't really kill anything. Nerchio moving his Spine Crawlers forward. Doing a nice job of creep spread. Has 3 creep tumors at once. Could start spreading those out, fanning those out along the various different paths. And he's going to a 4th. So we are once again in store for a super macro game. Looks like Major on 3 bases is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 racks. Double factory, single starport. No reactor on the starport. We'll probably see him start to add structures soon as he is floating a little bit of resources. Although, truthfully, so is Nerchio. Nerchio's going to lose this Overlord, though. And we'll see if he wants to do any sort of other air units or if he's going to go right to his Greater Spire as soon as that Hive finishes. Hive has got about 45 seconds left. Few units thought about running in for Major, but Nerchio is pretty well defended. Major, on the other hand, he is gathering up his forces in the middle, establishing another siege position. Really is serious about these drops, though. They haven't been all that effective yet, but you never know which one is going to be effective. Nice job here. Nerchio running back and forth with a couple of expendable Zerglings. Got to get himself a nice early scout. He'll have a good reaction time as well, especially with as many units as he has sitting down here. Wish you would connect his bases a little bit more. With creep. Back here at the bottom left, though, Major putting up yet another base. So he is going to be on 4 bases here to his opponent's 4 bases. And Major could stim himself and run himself in. With the Infestor, though, may put an end to quite a bit of that. Yeah, look at that fungal growth go down. And a lot of these Marines are going to die. SCV goes down as well. Poor Overlord falling. These 2 Vikings, wow, 7 kills between them. They have certainly done their damage. Looks like Major, though, he's tired of waiting. He's going to make his way up, start slow pushing his way onto the creep. Is there Neural Parasite? No Neural Parasite. No Neural Parasite this time. Fungal growth does manage to take out a couple of units, but I got to admit, Major's force is looking very strong. Nerchio is being pushed back. He's up by 12 workers, which means that that's almost all the supply damage between the 2 players. Using these Overlords as well, and it looks like these tanks are going to start going down. Nerchio putting himself in a great position. Does take this out. However, with these Zergling reinforcements, and I don't know if there's any fungal growth ready. There we go. A couple of fungal growths are going to go down. The Major does do a little bit more damage. These tanks have certainly exacted their revenge. Is another drop gone down? No. So Major just sieging himself up in pretty good positions. Honestly, Nerchio being a little bit aggressive with those roaches. Did make nice gains on the battlefield here back in the middle of the map, but maybe shouldn't have pushed himself out all that far. And let's see. The Greater Spire is forming. 50 seconds left. We'll start to see some Corruptors here pretty soon. Zerg Ground Carapace level 3 coming up. That is actually before, odd difference from last game. Going with 2 weapons upgrades right away. Now going with 2 armor upgrades, going to his 3rd very quickly. Major's going to make his way in, though. Nice reaction time by Nerchio. The rest of these Zerglings are coming in. And we will see Major pick himself up. Managed to take out 1 queen and a few drones. Nice little gain for him. No sort of counter drop going on from Nerchio whatsoever. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 racks, double factory, single starport. And he has had a little bit of a problem keeping up that production. Oh, he's got to watch out. He's got to rally this. I'm actually right-clicking the mineral patches for him as if that's going to help. 5th base coming up now for Nerchio. Another drop coming in for Major, though. He is taking out quite a bit of the economy. Is that 87 drones? I believe that's 87 drones that are up. I can actually take a look at the Army tab. Income tab is what I meant. There we go. 70 SCVs to 87 drones. Nerchio has to watch out that he doesn't overdrone himself and this army doesn't get way too powerful for Major. And it looks like Major does manage to take out a few units. Nerchio could drop down a fungal growth. There it goes. A few of those Marines do fall. And unfortunately, those Marines on the low ground are just going to get healed up, so that fungal growth maybe not as effective as he would have liked. Corruptors do manage to take out one of the medevacs, though. And we do have another infestor here to drop down fungal growth if he could reach it, but unfortunately he can't. Another drop going in, though, for Major. And he is just going to go after the hatchery. The hatchery is almost down to 150 points of health, but it does manage to stay up. So this harassment out of Major being very effective. Fungal growth does manage to take out a few Marines there. Major running away, probably going to grab himself another few units, come right back and try and kill that hatchery. Kill it dead, I tell you. 6 Broodlords coming up, though. That is going to put a little bit of a crimp in the plans of old Ghosty Terran. He does have up a number of ghosts, though. Now, of course, the feedback's going to be important on the infestors. But snipe on Broodlords is pretty brutal. It's really, really effective if pulled off right. So the Ghost could very well do that. Let's see here. Major could drop himself in another drop here in a second. As Nerchio is he is maxed and he is going ahead and saving up a ton of resources. It looks like the Vikings have to go down. The Vikings go down to allow these Broodlords to do whatever damage they want, but oh my god, Marines come in. And those clean up everything out in Nerchio. Nerchio now loses all of his Broodlords. He's going to lose his Overlords as well. It's actually, I don't know how many Overlords he overproduced. Okay, still not out of the 200. It looks like Major going to drop himself down here at the 4th as well. So, sixjaxMajor making his way in, shelling this position. Look at the way those Zerglings go down. It's just 0-1 upgrades for all of these units. We will be able to take out the hatchery pretty quickly as soon as these spine crawlers go down. Going to work on the hatchery now. A little bit of a flank maneuver out of Nerchio, but my god, sixjaxMajor doing so well with this attack. Not very long ago, I should say, there was a position where I thought that sixjaxMajor wasn't out of it, but Nerchio could have consolidated his forces, pushed, and started to do, he had Ventral Sacs up in addition to Pneumatized Carapace. Could have done some coordinated dropping, maybe even some Nidus play, and got his opponent out of the game. Nerchio could immediately put down another hatchery, though. That was bold. Doesn't really have the forces to rally against this. Major could actually start to push his way in the final push of the game. Sieging up here, though, at the Xel'Naga Tower. Old Nerchio dropping down a production hatch. Does he have another one? No, just the one production hatch so far. He's only mining at his 3rd and his 4th. Basically the same thing for Ghost of Terran. He's transferring over a bunch of SCVs. Not really doing a lot of mining here. Surprised about that. Doing a little bit of mining at his natural. He's going to need to establish another base. There he goes. Base down at the lower left-hand pocket. And it looks like Major is loading up for another big drop here. He actually loads up like 4 or 5 medevacs. And splits his forces out between the south and the north. Voluntarily gets Nerchio to split his forces. Reproduces because he's got enough minerals banked. He would be able to do a huge amount of damage. So Marauders and Marines being queued up. Look at that! Look at the drops just crossing each other. Poor Major. Poor Nerchio. So it looks like, yes, there we go. That is exactly what I was calling for. 2 coordinated drops going down at the same time. It's like a Zergling drop coming in. It's going to go right after the Ghost Academy first. But, of course, Major is, well, he's going to go after an Extractor. Extractor does fall. Very good. But it's a little hard to go ahead and coordinate all those forces at the same time. Yeah, he's actually moving through and attacking through the middle as well. He's got to get these Vikings attacking. The Vikings going after the Corruptors. Of course, those Corruptors, well, they are forced to pull back. Never mind. Thought they were in numbers to go ahead and start pressing through, but he did want to engage with those Marines on the field. And a huge amount of damage is being done. Major takes down 1 hatchery. And he takes down the Queen. He's going to be able to take down the 2nd hatchery as well. All at the same time, Major is still going through the forces of Nerchio at the front. Unfortunately, these siege tanks shelling their own Marines, but the Broodlords aren't going to fall. And look at this. Nerchio's just not even worrying about the amount of drones that are just disappearing over at his next base. These Marines finally getting cleared up here over at the top right-hand corner. But another hatchery goes down. That severely limits the production. So Nerchio now on 4 bases with a macro hatch. He's only mining off of 1.5 of them at the moment. And finally these units are going to get cleared up. And that's before Major is able to do his significant damage, up by 30 supply. So Major just going to be able to produce one more big force and go kill his opponent. And let's see here. Oh, starting to shell this next base as well. So he's just on 0-1 attacks. Major is not believing upgrades apparently. Just finishing up 3-3, 29 minutes into the game. Major going to have to watch out as Nerchio does have a couple of corruptors on the field, but those are getting picked off by sixjaxMajor's Vikings flying around the map. And it looks like we have a bunch more forces coming up for Nerchio, but he's going to have to break his opponent and deny the mining bases all at the same time if he has any prayer of getting back into this. Certainly not out of the realm of possibility, but going to be very, very difficult. And this poor hatchery is going to go down. There it goes. Broodlings, 6 Broodlings clean up the Marine though. This tank getting himself 16 kills, some of those Broodlings admittedly. And it looks like Major is just going to pick up and move away. He does have a big number of units coming in here to this mining base as well. He's just going to pick himself up. All he wanted to do is deny the mining there. Could sit himself on the high ground if he wants. 188 supply now for Major. Just on 59 workers, but that's okay with him. He's got enough orbital commands that he should be able to drop down a ton of mules. 4 orbital commands as a matter of fact. Good God. Just the 1 planetary fortress over at his 5th. There's the stim in one more time. And this attractor is going to fall. There it goes. And into a number of those Zerglings. The Broodling should be able to take care of the rest, but at the same time, old Sixjax Terran is going to make his way through the middle of the map, and that is going to put an end to this game, I believe. Nerchio, though, hanging in this like a champ, going to try and make one more big attack. Oh, no! Major has such a good siege position! Oh my God, those Zerglings just disappeared! Those tanks have so many kills apiece! And look at the way those snipes are dealing with those Broodlords. Just what I was thinking about before. Nerchio is forced to leave the game. So Major does manage to even this up 1-1 here. Round of 128 action at the IPL Season 2 qualifiers. Don't go anywhere, guys. Rubber match of the set coming right up.